Yep, it's not much to look at, but we're finally back.
It's still as beautiful as I remember.
Bro, didn't you say it's 2010?
Yes, it is 2010 roughly, but we had to make a big deal of going back in time on these time horses, Lexi. That's why Camp and I's voices are messed up.
Because we're cowboys and we're on horses, and that means we're cowboys.
Whoa, time cowboys.
Okay, so we're just in the middle of the New Mexico desert.
Yes,
because...
but it's 2010 because
all right,
because we're time cowboys, Lexi, and oh my gosh, look over there! It's an ancient meme. It's it's the Numa guy, and he's still relevant somehow in 2010.
Oh my goodness.
That's wild.
Oh my gosh, it's Facebook before it had they removed the from it. Oh my good lord.
I mean, I think that was actually before 2010.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was not the Facebook in 2010.
It was not?
No.
When was it
Fairly
the
certain.
Facebook?
Like, way early on.
Like, until, 2005.
Yeah.
What about Friendster? Did I choose the wrong time period? Hello, howdy, and welcome to the How Could You Forget podcast, a podcast where your three favorite time cowboys, Lexi, Camp, and Gurdon, come together almost every fortnight to discuss a topic you've forgotten about, never heard of, or is simply too good to forget. If you couldn't tell by the title, thumbnail, or even the intro of this episode, we're going to be talking today about the old internet.
Wow!
Or as I came up with a clever title for, the Wild Wild Web. So...
Oh, Q. Will Smith.
Ooh.
Yes, giant spider, yes. Add a giant spider also to the screen now from
Giant
the Wild...
spider? Oh, because of web. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Wild Wild West. Yeah, there's a giant animatronic spider as the main antagonist of Will Smith's Wild Wild West. Do you not know that?
Oh, are you serious? I've not seen the...
I've been learning so much this episode. It's only been like 4 minutes.
Started. I know.
I've only heard the song. I've never seen the video.
Please put up an image of both the, I believe, Confederate man who turns into a robot spider and the gigantic robot spider that goes to the Wild Wild West.
Yippee.
That Will Smith has to fight here now, please.
Beautiful.
Confederate man? What in the world?
Yes, I believe he's a slave owner.
What is this movie?
Yeah. If you haven't watched Wild Wild West, go watch Wild Wild West.
It
right
does
now.
sound
Stop
very.
the podcast.
Leave the podcast. Don't come back later.
I feel like the song was more successful in the movie because I had forgotten it was even a movie. I just know the song.
I probably have seen that movie 10 times because that was one of like 5 VHSs that my family had.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And so the opening shot of Will Smith in what I believe is supposed to be like a water tower outside of an old western town with some naked woman, and then the water tower falls over and he has to be a cowboy is one of the only things I remember about that film. And the giant spider. And that if you flip a man's head over, after you cut it off with a sharp enough razor, you can see his last moments of his life through his eyes.
I mean, that's a pretty good life hack.
This is a kid's movie?
No, it's not at all.
Okay,
I think they literally
all right.
make racist jokes about Will Smith at one point in the film.
Oh
my gosh.
That's not what the episode is about.
Anyway, yeah, we're not talking about Wild Wild West, the movie. Let's go on to the internet stuff.
The Wild
now.
Wild Web, and
I'm sure there's no racism ever on the internet. So
in 2010,
no, of course not.
No way.
But 2010 also was just a catch-all term. But I just thought 2010 felt like a good time before the really, really early internet, where it was super like E-Bombs World and Icon Has Cheeseburger, and then more of the early 2010s before things started to get where we are now.
Yeah.
But while this is not exactly a one-to-one recommendation, a major part of this episode was recommended by a listener named More Hero on YouTube almost an entire year ago. And he says, before I forget, haha, name.
Or they, we don't assume.
Or they, sorry.
We don't
I would
assume-
like to suggest an episode about Kim.com. This guy is ... interesting. So I wanted to say thank you very much for the recommendation, as well as to remind everyone else listening at home to comment any and all topic or idea suggestions, thoughts, or feelings about the show.
Yeah, I was going to say, we do get to them eventually. It does.
Yes,
it
only
might take
takes
a
a
year,
year.
but we do get to them.
Exactly. Alexi always points out that we read each and every comment, and we even read the negative comment that we got on the last Fortnite podcast.
We made it!
Where we talked about uterus Chon. We read everything. Yes, we made it as well.
Woo, looks like we made it.
And before I begin with the help of my fellow co-host, I do need to mention that while we're going to be talking about Kim.com, like More Hero recommended, I felt like a much broader and more diverse topic deserved to be talked about. So I will, of course, be talking a bit about Kim.com because he is a very interesting fellow, but also that Kim.com is a little bit, I don't want to say wild. I guess wild
Is
fits.
it problematic?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
All I had to
Okay,
do
so
was...
is it Kim dot as in like a .com or
No,
Kim
Kim
dot
is his
spelled
first
out?
name, and his last name is .com. DOTCOM. He
Oh,
legally
okay.
changed his
All
name
right.
to
Oh, I thought you were doing a bit. What? What?
No, he legally changed. That's why, again, it's why I'm like, yes, this is a great episode, and we'll get there. But nowadays, Kim.com is a little bit of a controversial figure. I opened up his Twitter, and I showed Lexi why we're really not going to be super dwelling on it.
Oh.
But yeah, literally
Okay.
his pinned thing is basically an anti-Semitic tweet. So
Oh,
again, I was like,
joy.
all right, so we're not
Yeah.
going to be hella delving in on this. But let me ask you, I'm based off of your all's reaction so far, I'm assuming neither of you know who Kim.com is.
I have never heard of this person in my
No.
life.
Because I wasn't sure if it was just a website.
See, I thought it was a
so-
website. I thought it was Kim.com. Like, I thought that I didn't realize there was some dude out there who just named himself .com. Like, was he really devoted to the .com bubble? Is that what happened? Like, I don't know. Is it actually? Sorry.
Oh,
gonna-
God.
I'll shut up.
We're going to get a lot more... No, Camp, you're developing my curse where I say a joke and then it becomes real. It is slowly starting to spread to everybody around me, yes. But I guess I will ask a follow-up question instead. Do either of you know or remember of a now defunct website called Mega Upload?
Yes, I do. It was the #1 place to get viruses.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm not familiar.
They just really had. I mean,
Okay.
it's like it's kind of in the same realm of like MediaFire or like stuff like that, where it's just a file hosting service. But since it's free, it's all like fundraised by ads, and
like
because they're
LimeWire?
kind of, it's like instead of like LimeWire where it's like peer-to-peer stuff, for stuff like MediaFire or Mega Upload, it would actually be hosted on the internet. And obviously that costs money, so they'd run ads. But because you could use them for illegal things, they had lower standards for the ads. So essentially, one wrong click on the website, and you would get a shit load
Doctors
of malware.
hate him.
Like you would just, you have to be very
Yeah.
careful sailing the seas when like
Natural
in the early
male
thousands.
enhancement.
Basically, yeah.
But
Oh.
quick jump ahead. Kim.com was the founder of Mega Upload, and so we're going to talk a little bit about Kim.com's background, and then we'll get to Mega Upload, and then I have a little bit of a changeover of topic into more talks about the internet as a whole. But yes, Camp, you are correct that it is a file sharing service from back in the day, and I believe they still have a subset of it these days, but we'll talk about the downfall of Mega Upload when we get there as well. But thank you for actually knowing that. I was expecting you to at least be like, I've heard about it before.
Nah, I'm a nerd.
No, I'm not familiar.
I am terminally online. Like born and raised. Like I get it.
As a wolf, it makes sense, or as a VR chat wolf, it does make sense.
So
You would
true.
have to be connected to the internet in some regard.
I've
But
been in it.
The V in VTuber stands for virtual.
Yes.
thank
Good
you,
job,
thank
Lexi.
you.
You did it. You did.
Do I need to get you some coffee? All right. Anyway,
We're learning so much. All right.
We learned about Wild Wild West. We learned. For those that don't know, Kim.com, or Kim Schmitz, as he was originally known, is a 52-year-old self-proclaimed entrepreneur, hacker, and for a while there, politician.
Good God.
Of course.
He was born in Germany and gained a lot of his money, fame, and infamy to others there as well. As a some people consider it more infamy, some people consider it more fame. And this guy has a few YouTube documentaries on him, none that I'm using for sources on this podcast, by the way. He's just kind of that person that draws YouTube kind of fame to him and people just to be like, whoa, look at this guy. He's so cool. He can do whatever he wants, basically.
Just kind of has that personality.
Oh, yeah. The Associated Press has written quite a few articles on him that I have used for sources for this. And as well as he has his own Wikipedia article, if you can believe it, which mentions such important facets of his life as that he was at one point the world's #1 ranked Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 player in multiplayer free-for-all.
You're joking. Oh my goodness.
That's
Let
just
me
so
copy this.
random.
But I took a screenshot of this in case that it was removed. But yes, here you go. There is from the Wikipedia article directly.
House community
I also-
score. And it's cited too.
I
Oh my god.
realized that this
Excited.
says before his arrest in New Zealand.
Wait,
so,
what?
Wait,
Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah.
What is?
Oh,
I gotta back up a little bit. What is that?
There's a lot to get to, and that's why, like, again, I'm going to be talking about
Oh my gosh.
Kim.com, but it's going to get a little wild. But Kim.com is sometimes called a pirate or a hacker, based on whom you're asking. And while I personally feel a little odd calling him a pirate, as while he did make Mega Upload, which, again, had a lot of piracy and stuff like that, I think that he's much more of a personality, is how I would put it.
Influencer.
Kind of, yes. But there's one thing for certain is that he was very, very good with computers. As according to InvestigateMagazine.com in 2010, he's claimed to have hacked the Pentagon, NASA, and multiple U.S. banks. And while most of those claims couldn't be verified, he did end up getting arrested for hacking-related crimes in the 90s. Once for selling, quote, stolen phone numbers, which up until now I didn't realize that you could, like, get in trouble for selling phone numbers.
Neither did I.
I mean, I guess you're stealing them from other people and then trying to sell them. So
I guess, like, yeah,
Well,
like, if
like,
you
how do
register a number on a service provider and then try to sell it for more money. I never thought about doing that with phone numbers, though. That feels weird.
No. That's why I was so like, wait, that's a crime. Like, how do you even...
I don't really know how that would all work.
I don't
That's
know
how
either, because it's not really like a
old but
material.
young I am.
I don't know. It's like buying a website domain and then selling it later for more money. It's like, is that a thing that people do? I just kind of figure people just have numbers already,
Like,
and they
can
can
I-
just charge.
Can I steal Lexi's phone number right now in the middle of this podcast? Like, if I just... I need that. No.
And on that note, we go to our game. Just kidding.
No, that'd be so funny. Guess which one of these is Lexi's real phone number?
No.
But according to another Wired article on Kim, after getting charged with selling stolen phone numbers, he was charged with 11 counts of computer fraud, as well as 10 counts of data espionage. Do either of you know what data espionage is?
Spying and collecting data.
I was going to say, I could probably
on the
parse
internet.
it from that, where it's like you are sneakily. It's like you don't believe in data privacy policy. You just espionage that data.
I mean, you're not far off. I had to look it up to make sure I kind of understood more so what it is. But data espionage is basically when you or someone accesses sensitive information that you're not supposed to, either to, of course, steal the information for yourself or use it for something like blackmail or to sell it. So
Oh yeah.
basically what you said, but just the quicker, straight to the thing. But with these 11 counts of computer fraud and 10 counts of data espionage, Kim.com was charged and just got 2 years of probation for these charges, which is a little wild, at least to me.
For having 21
Even though
charges?
It was said that he was hacking into like the Pentagon and stuff.
Well, I mean, to be fair, none
All
of
of
those
it.
ever got verified. If we
Yeah.
believe, like, I don't know how much I believe it.
He allegedly hacked into the NASA in the Pentagon, of course.
He hacked in the Pentagon.
This
He hit the
goes
Pentagon!
on
Sorry.
No, you're good. I love this part.
Wow.
But this goes on for quite a while with him just kind of doing stuff like this. But essentially, after these charges and after they had fallen off, or he finished parole, whatever terminology you need to use, Kim decided that Germany wasn't really what he wanted to do. And so what did Kim do?
Germany isn't what he wanted to do. What?
I was gonna say the phrasing's a little
He
bit
didn't want to
odd.
live in Germany anymore.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you
y'all
just
are
were
being
like
rude.
Germany. He didn't want to do it.
He didn't want to. He didn't. Kim's not feeling very German. But yeah, he
I'm
didn't
over
want
this
to.
whole Germany thing. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm feeling more Thailand today, so that's
I'm
what
in,
he
I'm in a
did.
very Thailand time of my life.
That is a very. That's a very abrupt shift of like weather,
Yeah.
like climate.
You're
To go
not
from
wrong,
Germany to
Lexi.
Thailand. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That'd be a pretty big culture shock.
I've
what would
heard
also-
Thailand is humid.
Oh, I would not survive in Thailand.
Yes.
I would die.
Oh no,
I hate humidity so much. I would not do it.
Oh, I'm the opposite. I'm a lizard.
Really?
I love humidity.
Lexi's
Dang,
like,
okay.
Yeah.
send me to Thailand, send me. But
I would love to visit someday. I just don't have any money, so.
Oh, fair.
okay. But before he could even get set up in Thailand, because he decided to move there, he was arrested pretty quickly.
Okay.
According to that same Wired article I mentioned earlier, he ended up pumping an almost bankrupt company called Let'sBuyIt.com, and which is really funny to me.
Kind of just wearing it on your sleeve. All right.
Yeah.
He purchased 375,000 euros worth of the company's stock, and then he told The Guardian, the publication, The Guardian, somehow he was just allowed to tell them, oh, by the way, I'm going to be investing 50 million more euros into the company. And then when that news broke, the stock jumped up a whole bunch because people were like, oh, wow, this is about to get a huge influx of capital. And then Kim.com just ended up cashing out and then made 1.5 million euros in profit.
Wow.
Dang, okay.
And was this legal? No. That's why he moved to Thailand, like I mentioned earlier. Yes.
Do they not have extradition in Thailand?
Oh, they did. That's why he got extradited back to Germany.
Oh,
So he
okay.
didn't even
All
move
right.
somewhere where he was like safe. He just moved to Thailand.
No, I think he just liked Thailand.
Okay.
But one of the
He's
crazier
like,
things.
yo, the food is banging. Let's go.
Yo,
Yeah.
Thai food is banging though. But one of the crazier things about this is not even that Kim.com got arrested for it, but that apparently insider trading, which is what that wasn't illegal in Germany until 1995. So I just don't know how they did. I just don't know how they didn't think that should be a crime of, what if I just
Maybe no one had ever done it before.
you know what? Yeah.
Or like
Nobody
gotten
has ever
caught
committed
doing
a
it, at
crime in
least.
Germany. Yes,
No,
correct.
I meant insider trading specifically. Maybe no one had gotten caught for that.
I'm just messing. But yes, Kim.com took his 1.5 million euros in profit. And would either of you like to guess what he did with that money?
Another scam.
I would assume it's another scam, definitely. Like he probably just I'm assuming he did like some almost Ponzi-esque type thing where he just reinvested the 1.5 million just back into something else, did the same shit.
See,
or tried
that
to do
would
the
be
same
smart.
shit.
I love a callback.
Oh, that would be
The
a callback
original
also.
Girl Boss.
Yo, that would be smart, but no. Kim.com had another thing that he wanted to do. According to multiple sources, he purchased one of only 10 Mercedes Brabus EV12 megacars for what is estimated to be about €500,000 and won the 2001 Gumball 3000 road rally.
What?
Which
Gumball 3000?
I had to look up what this is, and it's very funny that it coincides with the release of Forza Horizon 6, which is coming out comes out in between us recording and when this episode comes out.
Ooh, big news for you.
Yes, but the Gumball 3000 is basically the closest thing that we have to a real-life Forza Horizon festival.
Oh my
It's where a
goodness.
bunch of rich and famous people come together and ride in whatever vehicle that they want across thousands of miles, which, for this one example, the Gumball 3000 was a 3,000-mile road race.
That's
where
usually what the number means in a race.
But it's like a giant roving party of vehicles, food, music, all of this stuff. And usually lasts about 6 days and is a huge thing for fashion.
Oh my
Also,
gosh.
they'll have like stops where everybody just stops and has lunch at this one specific place. Like it's supposed to be just this like rich person, drive a fancy car and have fun. And Kim.com just took basically a third of his profit and bought, again, one car, and then went and just won this race for fun.
What is this man?
Huh.
Like how? Like what?
I mean, here's the thing. If he wanted to do that, then like, sure. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just like, it's
You know?
such a chaotic. Like, okay, so he's a god at Call of Duty. He's a god at racing, apparently. He also just made like €1 million Spawn out of nothing, and then also went to jail for like a shitload of fraud charges. Like I don't like this life story. Is
No.
wild.
He only got probation, remember?
Right,
Come on.
for only a
He
couple years. Yeah, I for
Yes,
more.
20 months of probation for for 21 charges. or
That's like
whatever
less
it
than a
was.
month per charge. That's
Exactly.
Oh my! This kind of a legend, honestly. I'm on this dude's side right now. I'm hoping there's not a plot twist later where it's like, yeah, and he also beat his wife or something. Like, I'm hoping we don't have that again, but we'll see.
Again, oh god,
he's the ultimate Fallout character.
He's just doing side quests basically.
Yeah.
But I didn't mention this earlier because I thought it'd be funny to mention it now. The Wired article that I keep mentioning is titled, quote, "The Fast, Fabulous, Allegedly Fraudulent Life of Mega Uploads Kim.com." So again, I feel like that's a really, really good thing for all of his
Fast and
story.
fraudulent.
Woo, let's go drift. But that was what he did with his winnings from that. And eventually, as I mentioned, Kim absconded to Thailand where he was arrested and pled guilty to embezzlement. And even though he had already been given a lesser sentence in the past by the German courts, he once again was let off with 20 months probation and a 100,000 euro fine for his insider trading charge now.
100,000? He made like...
Yeah, let's find
made
the guy with a bunch of money.
He made like 1.5 million euros and you're charging him 100 grand? Bruh!
Wow.
This is why we all should get rich.
What did he have on that judge?
He probably hacked into everything. Again, he was a hacker through all this time also. But yes, I thought that Camp and Lexi, you would both get a kick out of the fact that, oh yes, a slap on the hand for somebody who, again, he didn't break parole. He technically committed this after his parole, but had a criminal history, did a crime, and then the fine was, again, not even a tenth of the amount of money he made off the crime.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
But after Thailand didn't work out so well, Kim decided to move once again to a different country, and so he moved to Hong Kong.
Okay, can they extradite you in Hong Kong?
See, I don't know about that one, but for our sake, he doesn't stay in Hong Kong for very long. But while he's there, he started what he called a, quote, an artificial intelligence-driven hedge fund in 2003.
He's so ahead of his time.
Exactly.
Dang,
I read that and I was like, bro, 20 years early on this guy. As well as he started a company called Date Protect Limited. And like Camp just said, basically that the artificial intelligence-driven hedge fund would make a lot more sense these days than would probably just rake in the cash. He kind of got bored of living in Hong Kong, and so he started like taking boat trips out to other nations and other islands and stuff like that. And he ended up in New Zealand a couple of times before eventually just moving there, and that's where he lives to this day.
Okay.
And while I could continue talking about Kim and how he loves models, how he started his own political party in New Zealand called the Internet Party in 2014, that gained 1.42% of the nationwide New Zealand vote, and that he funded the entire thing himself. That cost him 3.5 million New Zealand dollars, but he won 0 seats in the entire nation of New Zealand.
Good.
I could also mention how he sadly had a stroke last year and is currently fighting an extradition order to the United States. I think you've kind of gotten the picture of Kim.com as of now, right?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
He's lived a very lavish, very off-the-wall, very wild lifestyle, very lots of money, like, again, models, hookers, blow,
Sounds
who
like
knows.
he may have been friends with another person with an island. We'll just leave it at that.
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh, no.
But as I mentioned earlier in the episode, Mega Upload, if you remember. If you didn't catch there, I technically mentioned Mega Upload in the last little bit that I talked to you guys about. Mega Upload's original name was Date Protect Limited, or Data Protect Limited, sorry. Kim.com ran and operated from its inception in 2003 until January 19th, 2012, when it was seized by the United States Department of Justice. So again, they were like, yo, this bad. And kind of why I wanted to make this episode more about the, quote, wild, wild web of the old internet and stuff like that, how we, without realizing that we did kind of live through the Wild West, and when Camp was describing stuff about, like, well, you know, like, yeah, Mega Upload was just a virus factory, and this, like, all this crazy stuff, and...
Aren't we on, like, the 4th version of the internet, basically? Like, the 4th iteration of the internet?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how
I mean, there's people saying that we're
on
on, like, Web 3 or whatever now, which is stupid. I feel like we're still kind of on for consumer internet. I don't think it's been 4.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I considered, like, you know, obviously the United States government created like ARPANET and things like that, and that was like early sorts of things, but it was military and government use, not consumer use.
Yeah.
So the idea of the internet has changed probably markedly like 4-ish times, but not necessarily in the consumer realm, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. It's we kind of got the same old stuff.
Exactly, yeah. But I remember, and again, Camp, it sounds like you remember as well, like basically the quote fabled mega upload is what I wrote in my notes here. And I know that I personally exist in a very odd window of time and upbringing, where a lot of people around me grew up with the internet, had internet at home, and of course started having smartphones and devices and stuff like that. But my family was broke as a joke. And so I didn't get home internet until I was 16 or 17. And that's not just because it was coming up into the thing. We just couldn't afford it at the time.
Yeah.
And so even when you were talking about like, oh yeah, like there was all these advertisements and all of this stuff, and it was just so like, you'd have to be careful anytime you clicked anywhere on the website and stuff like that, because
Yeah.
I remember that.
I only remember the brief interactions. The only time that before I did all this research on Kim.com and Mega Upload was that I had only heard Mega Upload mentioned in passing on an old podcast that I used to listen to called, funny enough, The Internet Box. And that podcast has aged like milk in lots of ways, which I will just be very, very upfront. Again, it was a podcast from 2011, I believe is when it technically started. But interestingly enough, the Internet Box podcast is how I got introduced to My Little Pony, and how through My Little Pony and then through a series of other events, I then met Lexi.
Dang, okay. So the podcast was good for something.
Exactly.
And now we have our own podcast. Life is
We
cyclical.
do.
Whoa, life is worth living.
And she sounds so excited. She's so happy and excited. But it's such a small and inconsequential thing that like this random ass podcast that I listened to almost 15 years ago, which by the way, I looked it up. It ended up winning 3 podcast awards, including beating Serial, which is considered like one of the greatest podcasts like out there, which is crazy to me.
Dang.
Had some of the largest ripples in my life. Like it was what really introduced me to Achievement Hunter and Rooster Teeth, which molded my comedy in lots of ways that I just don't think I'll really ever understand how much it impacted me. It introduced me to podcasts as a whole, like, luckily very differently than a lot of the bad pipelines that a lot of other people get into podcasts. Like, I know nowadays...
Jordan was a big fan of Joe Rogan.
No, oh my gosh, no. But like...
Jordan Rogan.
That's... Oh gosh. But like that's the thing, every time I hear a podcast discussed these days, it is like, well, when the dude talks about a podcast, but like I guess I just happened to get into a very small niche listening thing that like even back then podcasts were just like friends hanging out talking shit, or it was like I'm gonna make a podcast about XYZ thing basically. But nowadays, like if a dude's like, bro, you gotta listen to this podcast, it's probably some like
manosphere
hardcore
type thing.
Manosphere. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like they're sitting in their bedroom and just being like, man, this is how you attract high quality women, and they've been single for like 10 years.
Yeah, of course. But again, the more and more that I sat and thought about it, it made me realize that I just wanted to create something like this podcast here that is just hanging out, coming together, shooting the shit with friends, and then just making whatever we want out of it. And so when I first started doing the research and stuff for this podcast, I almost called this episode, almost wanted to call this episode, How Could You Forget the Internet Box Podcast? But like, I think it's a little bit of a relic of its own time. And so I didn't really want to just point anybody back to it because, again, like, there's probably some problematic stuff.
I had never heard of it before you mentioned it.
Yeah,
so.
But like, there's probably some stuff that's like a little bit rough and stuff in how they treat people. But like, it was inadvertently, when I sit here and think about it, like it was a huge thing in my life. And like, I know that Lexi will know this, but like Ray was one of the people on that podcast, and he's a content creator.
I was going to say, let's fill the audience
ahead.
in. Ray Narvaez Jr., he is a content creator, big time streamer. Most people don't know him as just Ray.
Well, his account on Twitch is now Ray, but yes.
True.
But
they'll be like, Ray Romano.
Yes, it's him.
Whoa.
But it's very funny because occasionally, like, again, I don't listen much to Ray or watch much Ray these days because I've just can't catch him very often. But when people will bring up like, whoa, I used to listen to you on Internet Box, and he'll actually like stop like what he's doing, and he'll kind of like sigh and be like, damn, I was a different man. I was a different guy back then. Like, I'm a totally different guy than I am back then. Like, I'm so sorry you knew that version of Ray. And like, that's how much that people can change in, again,
they
15
were
years.
Really young.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. But
it makes sense when you're 20 years old and you're doing a podcast, and then now you're, in your mid 30s or almost 40, and you're like, oof.
Oh, exactly.
No one is the best version of themselves in like their early adulthood. Like the straight up. It's not, it's never going to happen. Like, you still got a lot of growing up to do at that age. And I'm glad that he recognizes it and embraces it, but is still like, yeah, I'm different.
Exactly.
I'm different.
Like, maybe
yeah,
don't go back and listen to that.
Exactly. And that's why, again, like eventually we'll get to it. I want to kind of open up the podcast for discussion a little bit later. I still got about a paragraph or two in my notes. But just about that old time when we were young and in our early 20s / just discovering or just getting onto the internet and stuff like that. But before I get there, I do got to mention that what tied all this together very quickly of that, again, they mentioned on the only time that I've ever heard of Mega Upload very quickly was on the podcast before it was shut down. They mentioned that they would go on Mega Upload and would upload files to share with each other. And so it'd be like, yo, I'll send you an image. I'll just send it through Mega Upload, because there was like no form of Discord and stuff. Like there was Skype at the time. But for anything past the file threshold, they would have to send it to another thing. Or if they all wanted to watch a totally legally obtained TV show or movie or a copy of something, yeah, they would go to Mega Upload and stuff like that. And it's a very funny thing because it's just such a small microcosm of when they mention, oh, hey, yeah, dang, like Mega Upload got taken down. And they kind of sound as though they're like, well, something else will come and fill that void. Like something else will come around and fill the gap that Mega Upload left. And then, as we know now, there wasn't something like that filled that gap. Like, of course, there are smaller like file sharing things like that. But like to the degree of Mega Upload, like I have the actual numbers, the stats from Mega Upload directly from the Wikipedia, that in their prime, Mega Upload had almost 83 million unique visitors.
Oh my goodness.
Over 1 billion page views across the history of the website. On average, 50 million visitors would go to Mega Upload per day. Had a reach of 4%, which I believe basically means that 4% of everyone on the internet at the time was using it.
Wow.
Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, please. But yeah, that's from what I can tell. That it had 180 million registered members, which is crazy.
Like people that actually signed up with an email?
Apparently, yeah.
Dang, okay.
That Mega Upload had over 25 petabytes of storage back in 2012.
Oh my god.
Yes. And was at one point the 13th most visited website on the internet.
Wow.
And so like something that big and something that like crazy in scale and size, that again, like literally being almost one of the top 10 most visited sites on the internet, which again, as Camp knows and can attest to, was basically just virus / piracy.
Yeah. I didn't even know that it was that, like I knew of it, but I didn't know it was that big.
No. And that's what's crazy is Kim.com made a statement in front of the High Courts of New Zealand where he said, quote, it hosted 12 billion unique files for over 100 million users. And so like, end quote, by the way. But like, that is just crazy that this huge monumental thing came and then just basically almost in an instant was just snuffed out and just poof gone. And like, yeah, was there probably a lot of bad stuff, like Camp said, of viruses, of some piracy, probably some very, very bad stuff, like almost certainly, if we're just being real. But like, it's crazy the scale, because even doing more research, that Mega Upload had 150 employees.
Damn.
Wow.
They somehow had almost $200 million in revenue, which I don't even know how. That's how much money was seized from Mega Upload's things when they were charged with all this stuff. And so with all of this information, all of this material, all these files and stuff like this, like you would have expected back in the day, probably like, well, somebody will come in and kind of fill that gap. But like when Kim.com was charged and was attempted to be extradited to the US to face like all of these, like he got charged with like racketeering and like RICO charges, like, which I think might be the same thing. But like
he got the RICO charge? Wow.
He got the RICO charges. He got money laundering charges for something like this. The US really wanted to, and is still attempting to, make a huge example out of Kim.com. And they're trying to throw the book at him heavily. But again, it's...
Well, you wouldn't download a car, would you?
We got 3D printers now. We're going to be downloading cars.
True! It's the future!
Yes. All of that to say about the mega upload and into what I believe... I think Camp will probably have a lot to say, and I know Lexi will as well, of now where we have so much stuff about how the internet was, like in the Wild West, where... Yeah, you could just learn about Mega Upload, and if you were careful enough, you could probably find almost any movie just uploaded there illegally for free. And get all these software, get all of this stuff, and then nowadays you have like basically 4 websites.
Yeah.
And how they're all basically Facebook in one way or the other, or Amazon, and like that's about it. And so I really wanted to leave the floor open for discussion for both of you all now, because I've been yapping for roughly 30 minutes of the old times of like some of your favorite old memories of the internet, or some things that you've realized now compared to then, or anything like that, basically. But I just wanted to give you all the floor for that, because I know that we're all people on the internet. Like again, Lexi and I met on the internet. We met Camp through the internet, of course. Like we're in different countries. Like that wouldn't have happened without the internet. But all the things that have led us to now where we are, like, hey, we're all hanging out, having fun and stuff like that.
Yeah, it is kind of wild. Like especially how obviously it's been a thing forever where it's like one choice, or depending on like what you do, can alter your life drastically. But I feel like with the internet, it's even more fragmented and able to like really pinpoint when stuff kind of changes. Like, you know, like it is kind of wild, but if I did not download Discord a decade ago, I would not have met my fiance. You know, like I just don't think that would have happened.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just, there's so many different things. And like when I made music and things, I would upload it to newgrounds.com because they're mainly for like Flash animations and stuff.
Oh, Newgrounds.
Yeah, like, well, they were anyway. They're not really they're not as big
They're
anymore.
old grounds.
Old grounds now. But they also have like a music portal where you would be able to upload audio and stuff there. And I met quite a few friends from there that taught me some like good stuff, and we hung out. I haven't touched base with a lot of them recently, but it was still very cool. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can point to interactions with the internet kind of just altering or shaping who you kind of are. And I'm glad that it was that me and Lexi, Lexi can speak for herself, but I feel like it's lucky that we kind of did that before everything got turned into like trying to get you to pay attention desperately.
Oh yeah.
Like it was during a time when people didn't really care as much about getting their stuff seen, and the site makers were just hosting stuff because they wanted to create communities for people and get ad revenue while doing it. But that's why I enjoyed sites like Newgrounds. I never felt malicious or anything like that. You know.
Yeah, I agree with Camp. I think that we were very fortunate to be in kind of the middle ground internet where it was
There's
not
new grounds,
just...
old grounds, and middle grounds.
Yeah, true. Oh my goodness.
We got them all.
The 3 grounds. But yeah, I remember when I was younger playing a lot of like chat room type games, and for better or worse, some of them were much better than others. I think I've talked about that at certain points in the podcast, but
I think I remember.
I do think that I do think that it helped me in some ways. It was detrimental in some ways, but it was also helpful because, like Camp said, it was just cool to go get online and just like chat with people, and like even like a Club Penguin sort of a thing of like everybody get on Club Penguin and you play games with people, or you talk to people, or let me dress up my penguin and things like.
If you want to talk proper 2010s internet, you got to bring up Club Penguin.
Yeah, you gotta talk about Club Penguin and like something like Neopets, and I know that Neopets is back or whatever, but like I think part of it for me is nostalgia, yes, but I also think there is some truth to the fact of like those kinds of days are gone. That kind of internet is gone. And I don't think it will ever come back. I think it was very much lightning in a bottle. And if you were there, awesome. If you weren't, sorry, you missed the train. Because I think our way of communicating has changed so differently. And it's kind of made me a little bit like, I'm a little bit of a boomer in the sense of like, I think social media can be amazing, obviously, because I've met a lot of people through the internet and I stay connected to a lot of people through the internet. But I also think that there is this idea that if you don't exist online, that you don't exist at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that that was nearly as prevalent, if even really an issue, like 15 years ago. I really think that the invention of like an Instagram sort of a thing, and like as Facebook evolved and then Snapchat and all that stuff, like that has really given rise to, and especially TikTok now as well, that's given rise to the idea of like, well, if I don't have an online presence, then I just don't have a presence. Like I don't know who I am, or I don't know.
Exist.
Yeah,
I don't
exist. Do you really
exist.
exist if no one's looking at you doing stuff? Like that kind of mentality.
And that's something that I actually am like, wow, I struggle with that a little bit because I don't like to interact with most of those platforms. I'd rather speak to people, through Discord or something like that, actually being social instead of what I feel is very manufactured on social media, quote unquote, where I'm like, I don't feel like I'm really connecting with people as often as I may have in the past with these sorts of websites. So yeah, I think it was very much, like I said, a lightning in the bottle kind of situation of if you were there for it, awesome. If you weren't, I don't think we'll ever have that again. And I'm sure that people who, predate me and were like, oh my gosh, I was on the internet in the 90s and the early 2000s and it was so much like this. And, I think that's amazing. I look back and I'm like, wow, oh my gosh, yeah, that's crazy that this was a thing, or, that YouTube
you can
was...
kind of see what it was like. Like,
that YouTube was ever, the start off point that it was. It's hard to imagine that. So I think part of that is nostalgia, but I do think there are very real implications to that as well that aren't just fueled by nostalgia, that it's like, hey, that form of communicating or that type of internet is gone. And I don't know if it will come back because I don't know if it serves a purpose to come back. Or I don't know if it can coexist with what we have now. It's very interesting.
I was going to say, you kind of took the words out of my mouth a little bit there, because while you were talking, I really like the lightning in a bottle analogy, because I feel like it was lightning in a bottle. Like, I've seen multiple sorts of services or social media things try to come up and be like, we're like anti-algorithm, and you can customize your profile completely and do whatever you want, and it's like the early 10s internet again, and it's all awesome here, and most of them
and then it dies.
Yeah, like immediately, like all of them die. But it's just because like the way that we do things on the internet has changed so much in the last 15 years, and obviously a lot of that has came from like corporate greed and shareholders trying to squeeze as much money like a toothpaste out of us as possible. But as well, there's also just a factor of we've just grown away from that sort of communication, from that style of thing.
Yeah.
And that in conjunction with the fact that, like Curran said, now there's like 4 websites, it's just like, it's impossible to really, it's not, basically.
It's all meta.
Yeah, it's like impossible to really start one yourself, get enough attention on it, because all the other smaller ones are like so decentralized and so much smaller than the monolith that is like Meta or Twitter. I'm not calling it X. Or like
the
Snapchat.
everything app.
It's a lot more fragmented and everything. And I feel like even if we did find a way to bring it back, it will still feel different. Like, obviously we can't romanticize it. I definitely like to romanticize the early 2010s internet, but there is really no going back to it, both like culturally and like how we communicate with the internet at all, and also with our memories, because we'll always have what it used to be in our heads, and it will never feel
the rose-tinted glasses, for sure.
Yeah, basically, it just won't feel quite right if you go back to it now without the rose-tinted glasses on. So it's definitely.
I think a good example of a website like that is honestly Tumblr. I mean, I think Tumblr in the early 2010s. I mean, it was like the more alternative sort of site, and you had a lot of artistic people gravitate towards that. You had fashion, you had music, you had art, you had fan fiction, ships, and all this wild and crazy stuff going on in Tumblr in the early 2010s. And like Tumblr is still around, but I'm like, I don't really know anybody that uses it all that much.
I still think about it. I remember when like WordPress bought them for like one bit. Oh, wait, no, it was Yahoo, I think, right? All I know is that some company bought Tumblr for like $1 billion, and then they ended up selling it for like $3 million. So they lost.
Oh my goodness!
So pretty much all of it, because like, sorry, I don't want to hijack your talkie bit.
Well,
but
that was, I mean, if you've got more to speak on, that's great. Because I was just saying, like, yeah, Tumblr's an example of that. Website's still around, but it is completely different, and I don't hear anybody talking about it hardly at all.
Oh yeah, no.
That type of social media has.
Well, not only
died
that,
out.
but there was also the factor of like back in 2017 or 2018 when they did the blanket like not safe for work ban, just like banning pretty much anything depicting nudity completely. That drove a lot of people away, obviously, because
I'm like, that was your bread and butter. You had the fanfics on there.
You know what has a lot of nudity in it? Art. Like in general, art has so much nudity involved in it. Like,
please move this to art chat. Thank you. Please get it out of general.
Please move this off of Tumblr, and then everyone left.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, and I was big on Tumblr too. That's actually where I also met a lot of friends and such from during that time. But there definitely was a shift. Like the kind of format that Tumblr has is unfortunately just unappealing to the majority of non-derogatory normies that are using the internet nowadays.
Non-derogatory.
The average internet
there.
user is not going to gravitate towards that type of format.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially
I just
because
don't like
it doesn't result in very instant feedback or instant communication. And I think that's a big factor as to why something like Snapchat's dying out. We have coworkers who are clinging on to Snapchat. I'm like, Snapchat's dying, y'all. It's get ready.
It's on life support. Please put Evan's misery.
Sorry. I gotta jump in about the Snapchat very quick. We have a person we work with who has like a 3,000 streak on Snapchat or something.
Yeah, they take their streaks very seriously, which is fine. I mean, like, you do you, but we were trying to talk to him and we're like, hey, you do know Snapchat's gonna go away like sooner rather than later, right? And they're like, no. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be a meanie. And they're like, well, but did they make this money and all this stuff? I'm like, okay, all right.
Did they really?
Sounds a lot like
Snapchat hasn't made it. Snapchat hasn't made profit over like 90% of their 95%.
So I'm waiting
life.
for the day when Snapchat like gets either bought by somebody and completely changes or like shuts down, because I'm gonna need to check on my coworker and be like, are you okay? Like, I know this was actually a big piece of like your communication with your like closest circle. Are you all y'all are good? Are you gonna move to a different app now?
Guess they would have to.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just felt like that was very pressing to mention that we have people in our lives that are again still clinging on to what they grew up with of their age of the internet as well. Of like, well, we're all Snapchat, we all communicate through Snapchat. And like, I think one of the things that I didn't even mention is I made a passing joke about Friendster in the beginning. And of course, like after Friendster, there was MySpace. And so many people that I remember going to school with in the early 2000s into like very early 2010s were still kind of using MySpace, which was really weird when I think about it.
Yeah.
I had a MySpace profile. I think I created this maybe in like 6th grade or something. This was when MySpace was dying. But I did that because my brother is older than me and he was the MySpace generation. And like when he was in high school, MySpace was still like big. And so I was like, all the cool kids have MySpace and all this stuff. So I remember, I think I had one for like maybe a year or two. And then they were like, yeah, nobody uses MySpace anymore.
And you're like,
there's also shout out to Bebo. Bebop? Knows what that is, but
That's
it was
our cat.
Yeah.
Our cat Bebo. It was like a MySpace kind of
clone.
Not clone, but kind of. And yeah, everybody in my middle school had like a Bebo page, and I only remember it because I think I may have told this story on the podcast before, but I was in, I believe, 6th grade. I had a Bebo page, and there was this cool guy named like Brandon. I think his name was Brandon. And like he was a cool guy in my school. Yeah, I mean, generic enough.
Yeah.
He was a cool guy in my school, and for some reason he wrote "Bow Chicka Wow Wow" on my Bebo page on like my wall or my comments or whatever
that kept
it was.
Lexi like happy for 3 weeks.
No, I didn't like it. No, No, because I didn't like him. I was like, why would Brandon
Oh.
write this on my wall? He doesn't ever talk to me. This
I was
is
going to say,
weird.
if that was
Oh,
on my
okay.
Bebo page, I'd be cool with it. I don't know. I don't think that's what you would want to say to an
Yo.
average woman that you don't know that
Like,
well.
I guess it wasn't
Brandon is
weird
cool as
because
hell.
like I went to school with him, so like I knew him, so it's not like he was like weird
Some
or
creeper.
yeah, some creeper I didn't know, but I had only talked to him a handful of times, and then he wrote "Bow Chicka Wow Wow" on my page, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
it is still
what
kind of
does this
weird.
mean?
Even if your acquaintances, it's still just like, bro, what?
Right.
Where'd that come from? Like, why did you do
I'm like,
So-
why don't you talk to me at school then if you're writing "Bow Chicka Wow Wow" on my page?
Just hit on me like a normal person, Brandon.
No.
Yeah, Brandon. You're probably married with 2 kids working in finance now, but you know.
The sorry, I wanted to mention this as well, because I feel like it kind of fits of when you mentioned earlier the fourth age of the internet, or whatever technically era of the internet.
Yeah,
that we are
whatever
on.
we're in. It might not be the 4th one, but you get
If
what I
you
mean.
know, comment down below.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But specifically, when I mentioned MySpace, and do you all remember when Justin Timberlake bought MySpace?
Huh?
I want to make sure.
Was this when
Let
he
me-
was in the social network?
Hold on, I'm looking it up. MySpace. I'm making sure. In 2011, MySpace was sold to Justin Timberlake and Specific Media Group for $35 million. And I remember, again, it was such a flash in the pan because, again, what we were talking about of like, you can't just bring back something and expect everybody to flock to it, right? And so I believe when Justin Timberlake first did it, he was like, okay, well, we're going to bring it back. It's going to be cool. And when that didn't work, he's like, well, we're going to bring it back and it's going to be like a music space. Like that was the biggest thing of MySpace was like everybody had like a music thing when you would go to their MySpace page and da-da-da-da and
Oh,
stuff
Yeah,
like
they
that.
tried to make it more of a music platform, which is cool, I think.
Yeah.
Goes back
But
to
again,
its roots.
And that's the thing, it tries to go back to those roots, but again, as Camp has mentioned and as Lexi has mentioned as well, that like when something is such a flash in the pan or like lightning in a bottle, it's like you can't just recapture that like very often at all. And so even with Justin Timberlake, like again, probably one of the biggest names in the music industry in the early 2010s, like he couldn't rekindle MySpace. He couldn't bring it back. Like, and again, I don't even know if MySpace is even a thing at all anymore. But
it is, but it's not even like a social thing. It's basically just like a news site at this point.
oh, okay.
Like it's essentially just mirroring Yahoo. Like that's
Oh my
all
God.
it is.
That's wild. Because again, like I think that the same people that were on MySpace again use like MSN Messenger and stuff like that. And yes, could people be like, I want to have an MSN Messenger type thing again? Like you really probably could find a very easy like clone of MSN Messenger now, but like the internet has kind of moved
I think
on.
it speaks to the fact, though, that like that type of communication is not fulfilling to people anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the MSN Messenger day is like
Facebook
people
posts.
people had cell phones, but texting plans were expensive. And
Yeah.
so they were like, well, we can have an MSN Messenger for free, or because it was Hotmail, I believe, was MSN stuff, right? I think you could do
I
Hotmail.
think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember I had my name 2006 at hotmail.com. That was my email for a long time. Not my email anymore, so don't try to email me. But
True.
I
don't
might
even know
have
if
to look this.
Hotmail
I might have to look
exists.
this up later to make sure it's not tied to anything like super private or anything. But I remember when I first got an email address, I was like 11, and I didn't know what I wanted
Yeah.
to make it. And I was talking to my mom about it, and then she was like, "Okay, well, I what's something you want right now?" And I was like, $1 million. And then she was like, "Okay, what's an animal?" And I was like, "Giraffe." And then she was like, "Okay, $1 million giraffe at hotmail.com." And that's what I had.
Oh my
No
goodness.
joke. I had that email
Yo.
address for like 5 years until I got like another one.
Camp
That's
mom, a real one.
hilarious.
She a real one.
But yeah, I mean, there was this idea that all of us are about the same age, so other people probably used it
45,
differently. But
yeah.
when you'd come home from school and then you would log on and then you would talk to your friends, like that was your time to talk to your friends, and you'd have to be like, oh, gotta go, I got my activity, or I gotta get off the family computer or whatever. That does not exist anymore. Like if you want a really good example of how communication has changed and does not exist this way anymore, go watch the movie A Cinderella Story with Hilary Duff and Chad Michael Murray if you haven't seen it. It's a cute movie. I think it aged actually pretty okay, but the use of like instant messaging and emails, and that the fact that they uncovered this like secret pen pal relationship between these two characters, like it would not exist in any other time frame other than when it was created. And it's like our society doesn't operate like that. You're not going to be an email pen pal not knowing the identity of this person and then finding out that it's actually somebody at your school. Like there's no way it would work like that.
There's not yeah, because not only is that method of communication really died out, but also the concept of anonymity at all.
Right. That, the concept
out.
of not being able to talk to somebody instantly, like that has been a huge shift for media as well, because our life has shifted. I go back and I watch shows from like the early 2000s because I do love watching them. Even when I made Gurdon watch One Tree Hill. I'd never seen it either.
I thought you were going to mention Gossip Girl, but yeah.
Well, yeah, Gossip Girl is another one. But One Tree Hill, when that first started, and they're all like, got these chunky phones, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And it, you would think, well, just text this person. And it's like, oh, well, they don't do that. They use instant messaging, or they send an email or whatever. And yeah, the same thing with Gossip Girl, of the thought of, I'm going to send a text blast. I'm like, what? That's so foreign now. And I think that's why the reboot really didn't work, is because like, how do you make that work in a day and age where everybody knows where everybody is at all times and who they are? And if you submitted something to an anonymous source, you would be revealed in 2 days. Like there's no mystery there. So even though that show's a little problematic anyway. So anyway.
We can leave that. We can leave that in the past.
We won't talk about that in this episode.
Do you want to say something or not? Because I have a point as well.
Very, very quickly. Okay. I know that I when Lexi was talking about like the family computer and all that stuff, like I didn't have that, but for very brief periods of my life, I was able to steal my neighbor's internet, like just their Wi-Fi.
Let's go.
But I didn't have a computer. And so I would only be able to like use my Xbox at the time and like play again, like a round of 2 of Call of Duty and stuff like that. And when I hear people reminisce back on the old like Xbox days or Call of Duty days or whatever and stuff like that, and they'll be like, an old thing that used to happen is you would just get messages from people on Xbox Live, and it would just be like a really garbled microphone just being like, message to all friends and recent players, I'm hosting a 10th prestige lobby. Like that was basically my memory of that time of like when you're talking about these like blasts to all text messages or everybody on the same thing at school and stuff like that. Like that's the closest I have, which I think is really funny because I'll still hear people like make a reference to, like message to all friends and recent players, like just funny stuff like that. But like, yeah, that was the closest that I had personally. But you're good to go, Cam.
Well, you ain't lived until you searched for something you shouldn't have been searching for on your family Wii through the internet browser. So
what the?
There was an internet browser? Yeah, no. My friends would always be like, I tried to look up something inappropriate on the Wii internet browser, and then it was open the next time my mom clicked on it or whatever. That didn't happen to me.
True. That's another thing.
I've never heard of that, though.
That's another thing that's
there
for
was
the
an internet browser on Wii.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I
didn't know that.
Yeah, there was an internet browser. I didn't realize it could even have the like, I don't know, I never really used it because it's, I don't know, weird. I can imagine browsing surfing the net on a Wii. It does sound baller,
it was very
Camp's like, hey, yo,
involved.
next video.
But yeah, I had a friend that was like, yeah, I tried to look something up on the Wii internet browser, and when my mom clicked on it next time,
I looked up
dirty
boobies
picture.
on the Wii.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. But that's actually another major point too, is the fact that shock sites are also not a thing anymore.
That's what I was waiting for somebody to mention.
Honestly, thank God for that.
Yeah, fair. I remember when I was like 12 and my friend brought his like MacBook over and we spent the night just looking at shock sites and stuff like that. And we probably shouldn't have done that. I think that played a part in the negative development of my brain.
I have a couple of stories like that too. Yeah.
Oh gosh. No, yeah. So that's a part that I'm fine with not having nowadays. I mean, obviously there are still shocking videos that'll prop up and like propagate sometimes, but thankfully a lot of the times, now we have like moderation and like As much as I hate to
moderation is a
say
good
it,
thing.
automatic moderation, if you feed it like a really popular shock video, it can take it down if needed, like before anyone sees it, thankfully.
Listen, the old web wasn't all good. There lacked a lot of moderation, and I am thankful that
like I
the
said, I
children
am
of today...
romanticizing it a bit. There are good things about the internet nowadays. I there are parts of it that I like now, and there were parts that I like then. You know, that sort of thing.
Thankfully, we do not have iFunny anymore. Bless
do we not have
that.
iFunny?
So
it's not anymore.
Cam's like, I'm on iFunny every day.
I do. I be checking it regularly.
Is it seriously? There's still iFunny?
No, I don't use it.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought it went defunct.
Yeah, iFunny.co still exists.
Lexi, I think you can ask. Yeah, I think you can literally ask our
I can
coworkers. They
probably
used to
ask.
be on iFunny. And that's not a
I
joke.
know that they don't use it anymore. I think it is defunct. I do not think it exists.
Okay, the first thing I see is an AI generated image, so we can just say that it's dead.
It's dead. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
We had to like beat the iFunny out of our coworkers because they would be like, guys, look at this funny thing, and they would send it, and there'd be an iFunny like watermark at the bottom or like the little thing, and we would just be like, what's that?
Oh my god!
Like this is not a joke, and be like, why are you on iFunny still? And
We're
they're like, because
no.
it's funny.
I'm very grateful. Okay, it was not blatantly obvious. I've been like an online dude for the last over 20 years, like since I was single digits in age. I have never been part of a circle that ever genuinely liked iFunny. Every person, every time I've ever seen an iFunny watermark, it was an immediate visceral reaction of like, no, absolutely not. I refuse. Like,
I think it was in high school when the troll comics were going around. People were still using iFunny, and I saw quite a few troll.
Oh
comics,
yeah, like the Rage comics or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Were they called Rage? Yeah. Were they called Rage comics? I forgot. But you know what I mean. Like the troll face and the things like that. So.
Yeah. If you want an even better metaphor for like how much the internet has changed, the dude who made the troll face tried to make it an NFT. I hate everything.
Oh, there you go.
Oh no.
Let's go.
So Gordon, do you have a game for us?
I do have a game for us. It's been a very, very long time.
Oh, true. Yeah,
I have an episode of because Lexi has finally watched the prequel films. She has finished watching all 3 prequel Star Wars movies as of the recording of this podcast. I have an episode of You Don't Know Glup Shitto. Hit the stinger.
Still gonna
hit the
fail.
stinger, Camp. Hit the boom. There we go.
I just have to make a stinger. It's just always been quiet. I've never made it.
You just need to steal a sound from Star Wars and put it in there.
True. Okay, I'll do that.
Just a random Star Wars sound every episode.
R2-D2 going, Wee!
Perfect.
All right. So, because Lexi has watched the prequel movies...
Doesn't mean I'm going to be any better at identifying characters.
I had to make sure that I chose a character that was from the prequel films.
Oh, good God.
And this will be one... because this prequel character only has a first name in canon, even though they have appeared in comics after this point. It will only be 2 first names of characters.
Oh, okay.
All right. The 2 names for You Don't Know Glup Shitto are Amy, that is Amy, or Olan, that is Olan.
Oh.
Yes, I knew I got a good one.
Well, I was going to let Lexi go first.
Seeing the movies doesn't help. Like,
no, it
this
doesn't
type
at
of
all.
game doesn't. Like, I could watch all of them 5 times, and I still don't think it would help me.
I want to say that Amy. Well, let's see. Do you want to go first? Since you watched the prequel.
Yeah. Have you seen them, Camp?
Yeah. A very long time ago.
That sounds like a lie.
And I also wasn't really paying attention, but
wow,
I do know they
exist.
Star Wars
and
a couple scenes.
I'm gonna guess that Olan is real because it sounds like Olaf, and yeah, because I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna say Amy, Arm and Hammer. I'm gonna say that one's Amy. I'm gonna say that one's real.
Amy or Olan. Yes.
Okay, so I am Amy. Lexi is Olan.
Mm-hmm.
Camp is correct as all.
Wow!
Yeah.
Lexi.
I really shouldn't have let Lexi go first then because I was gonna pick Olan.
Here you go. Here is Amy. It is one of Anakin Skywalker's friends from episode 1 that stood behind him.
Of course. Because they called Anakin Annie, so they just got to go, what's close to that? Amy. Okay, sure.
Oh my god.
That character is also portrayed by, I believe, George Lucas's daughter. So.
Well, I mean, that's fun. That's like a fun little cameo.
Yeah, that's why I said
I don't
that
blame them for adding her in, but calling her Amy is stupid.
The,
Are you sure it's not Amy?
There was not really a pronunciation because, again, the character's name was never actually said on screen. It's just
'Cause
George
I was
Lucas.
like, I wonder if it's like his daughter's name was really Amy, and so they
It might
Star
changed the spelling.
Wars-fied it or something.
Yeah.
But this character does have a speaking role. This is the character that says, "Your ship never flies, Annie," or something like that. Is basically what she says.
Oh, it's not That's So Wizard, Annie?
No,
that was a
would
little
have been
boy,
great.
I believe.
Yes, it was a little boy.
Goodness.
But yes, that was You Don't Know Glup Shitto. Whoever has the stats for the You Don't Know Glup Shitto game, add one more to Camp's win streak.
I mean,
That's
I
so
think he's
true.
just won all of them.
I think you won one. I think you
Oh,
might
okay.
have one, Lexi.
Very
but
generous.
If somebody wants to go through and listen to every single episode and keep track for it.
I'm gonna
Oh my
if anyone
gosh.
wants to do the work to catch us up, I will straight up start putting a tally every time we do a Glup Shitto.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
I love Glup Shitto. Lexi is finally done with the prequels, and then eventually she will be knowledgeable about Star Wars at some point in the future.
Sure.
But yes, that was the game. I knew that we would need at least some form of game, and it's been a while since we've glupped our shittos.
that's so true.
True.
I missed it.
Always got to shitto your glup.
Oh, don't shit on my glup. Okay.
No!
But a couple more internet things very quickly, and then if you all want to continue reminiscing, we can. If not, I entirely understand as well. I remember specifically when Lexi and I were first interacting on Twitter at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that I was just being a chucklehead on the internet, basically. And
Were?
hey, at the,
Yeah,
at,
were.
at the
Past
time,
tense.
at the time.
I was gonna say.
But and then I remember specifically because again the internet was just so different like back then than it is now, that like I was just making jokes, talking to random people on Twitter on my like lunch break basically at work, or like while my bosses weren't looking at my job. And then I remember specifically like then Lexi, like how did you remember it, Lexi, I guess was the question.
How do I remember what?
Like us meeting, like not in person,
Oh,
but like
us. Okay, I was like, what? How do I remember
her.
what? Twitter? Yeah, that's so vague. That's so vague, Gurdon.
That's so vague, Gurdon.
I remember meeting you through a mutual friend. It was my friend in real life, and she had found you somehow through other people. I don't even know. She's like, you gotta follow this Gordon guy. He's really funny.
Yo.
He says funny things, and I'm like, sure, great. And then, yeah, I think it was kind of just that we created a little friend group, and that's pretty much how I remember. And then I just remember I think this was before Twitter did DMs. It was for sure before Twitter did DMs. So everybody just talked on the timeline. Everybody just like,
Yeah.
you would reply to people on the timeline, and all these conversations would be going on, which is so cringe. So cringe. Thank God for DMs. DMs can be a scary place, but also like, thank God I don't have to read all of those conversations anymore. But yeah, I remember like, you just at the person and then you'd say whatever, and then other people could jump in and all that stuff. And I think that actually, as much as that was cringe, I think that helped with the feeling of like you were posting, and when you would post, it would kind of be like you're putting this out to all of your people. All the people that you follow could jump in and add their opinion. And even if you were only talking to one other person, if somebody else wanted to jump in and like add something, they could. And it wasn't seen as like necessarily somebody just butting in. It was seen as like a conversation.
Yeah.
So I think that was really interesting. But yeah, I remember mostly just speaking over Twitter, and it, fun fact about how I even came to Twitter and found Twitter and all this stuff. When I was in high school, I dated this guy that was, really liked Lord of the Rings, and he was trying to convince me to watch and read Lord of the Rings. And so I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I was an avid reader in school. I haven't read a book now in a long time, but I burnt myself out on reading, basically, is how much I read. And so I read, I think, Fellowship, the first book, and I'm like, oh, this is good. This is some good stuff. And I had read the other
Anybody
books.
heard of these?
Anybody
Anybody heard of these
it?
movies?
Lord of the Rings? Anybody know about this niche series? But I was like, wow, this is really good. And I remember being like really excited, and I'm like, oh, I want to talk to you about it, him and my other friend at the time. And they were basically like, you're being really annoying about this.
Dang.
So they were the ones that encouraged me to check out the books, watch the movies, all this stuff. And then they were like, you're being really annoying about it. And I'm like, okay,
Rude.
fine, then I'm going to find people who I can talk to about this, who actually want to talk about the books and the movies and all this stuff. And so thus that was how my Twitter account was born, is because I wanted to get on and talk to people about Lord of the Rings. So
Yeah.
And what was your Twitter handle at the time, Lexi?
it was that LOTR chick. If anybody interacted with me back in the day when that was my username, that was me.
Ooh.
So
I don't think I did, but that would be really funny.
yeah, I
That
don't
would be
think you did
wild.
either. It's very interesting how Camp and I were friends through someone that we were friends with that I dated for a little while. But that was also through Twitter. I met that person through Twitter, Camp. And,
Yeah. Twitter just keeps
then-
cropping up. It's
yeah,
just everywhere.
Twitter is the through line in my life. Like that was
Oh, that's terrifying.
all of my
It really is.
Here's the thing: it's terrifying, but it's not, because pre-Elon Twitter was actually very, very cool. And a really neat place. It's not a neat place anymore. I wouldn't recommend anybody saying that Twitter is a through line in their life now.
No.
But yeah, it was how I met most of my relationships prior to 2020, I believe.
Yeah, it is a really good kind of tool. At least back then, it was a nice way to find new ways to communicate with people or see if there's anyone out there who kind of matches your similar like sensibilities or the
Yeah,
things
like
you're
the
into.
idea of hashtags and things like
Yes.
that was in that early time was so great. You could add hashtags, and like I said, people could just jump in and join a conversation, and it wasn't seen as like butting in. It was seen as like, oh, this person like also is going to add something to the conversation, and it obviously does not function that way anymore. So
No. And if it does happen, it's
kind of a
probably a
bummer.
bot.
Yeah.
Lexi and or Camp, do you all remember before Twitter would automatically preview images? And
Yes.
so you would see a tweet and then it would be words and then a blue link that said pic.twitter, I think, dot
Yeah,
like slash
because you
whatever.
couldn't
Yes.
even like you couldn't even upload images to Twitter, so you had to use like some random service, upload the photos
Yep.
there, and then copy and paste the link.
And
into
then
your
you'd have
tweet.
to click the link. And so like you'd have to just trust that if somebody's like, look at this cute dog, it would be a dog and not
Or like my
oh,
cosplay
Yeah.
of this character, you're like,
And then you
okay,
click on it,
I
and
know
it's
I
like
can
a shock
trust this
video
person.
or something, or like
yeah.
something.
It reminds me of, I remember at my school for like about a week, somebody had discovered r/5050, which I don't even know if that's
Oh.
a thing anymore.
Oh, I
Probably
sure hope
not.
not.
I know. Yeah, like I know Reddit's kind of cracked down on a lot of the like not safe for life subreddits.
If you
Oh
like
my
this, I
gosh.
don't like you.
How
It's
dare
not
you?
safe.
Yeah, no, but I know that they've cracked down a lot on like the sort of shock, gory, like not
Yeah.
safe for work style subreddits. So I don't think it's still a thing.
I remember again through Internet Box, that's where somebody told me what that was, and so when people started talking about that, I was like, I ain't clicking on any of these. I ain't.
Yeah.
call.
Because if you don't know what it is, r/5050 back in the day, again, I feel so old. Oh my god!
I really hope it's not around anymore. I remember, I
Yeah.
think one of the only ones that I ever saw was like 50-50. It's a picture of either a rusty nail or a kitten, and it was actually the kitten. So like, you know, it would have,
Yeah.
that's a very tame example, but like they would have been, some of them were very, very bad.
Okay,
Yes.
so update on the ground. I decided to look up r/5050. It does still exist, and the first thing I saw is a dead animal. So
Oh my
I'm
god.
gonna
yeah, so
say,
do not
I'm
go
gonna say
there.
no. It is still a thing.
Okay. So that's basic. So if you couldn't tell, the premise is it would basically be like 50-50, and then it would say two things. And you'd click on it, and it would be one of two things, of course. And usually it would be like a loving family picnic with your family. And the other one would be like, man gets beaten to death with a hammer. Like, and then it would just be like, oh, okay, I wonder which one this is going to be. Like, that's basically the premise of r/5050 in the day.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, when we talk about the wild, wild web, that like, yeah, you would still have times like that where you are actively having to go to r/5050 where somebody would have to send that to you. But like, yeah, just having random shock or gore out more in the wild kind of was a little bit more common, I feel like, especially.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, again, it links back to what we talked about moderation, how I'm glad there's a lot more moderation
exactly.
now.
Yeah, and I will
Exactly.
I'm
also
not
say,
for censorship, but I am for moderation.
yeah. I will also say on the subreddit, the 50/50 subreddit, the posts are like months apart. Like it is not as big as it used to be.
Oh,
Good.
okay.
It's basically like it's still there, but it's basically a dead subreddit.
Oh, okay. I kind of expected that because, again, I feel like most people that are heavily into gore, kind of probably have like
They probably have
all
different.
gathered
I mean, the dark web exists now. They can just go there.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
basically.
kind of glad that like shock culture in general has died out as well, because of course there's still like it still exists, of course, in like horror movies or something where like going into it, it's a horror movie, you're probably going to be shocked or there's going to be grotesque images or whatever. But I'm glad that there's less of like, I'm just randomly going through my day. Oh, dead body. Okay. Like, I'm glad that has become a lot less common. And even I was just thinking about, I saw an ad that they brought back Fear Factor, which is interesting. But
Johnny
I don't even
Knoxville,
know. I don't even know if that many people are watching it, because I'm like, I just don't know if that type of content really hits for people anymore. I don't know if they really want to watch that. You know?
I don't know either. Like, cause I like horror stuff. I watch like horror series on YouTube and horror movies, but I don't know. Fear Factor, I just never really got into or saw the appeal of.
Because it's more about the shock than it is the overall. Like in a horror movie, when they use that shock, it's typically for a reason to illustrate something about the movie or a character.
Yeah, there's some like greater narrative purpose. It's not just showing you a dead body and being like, oh, it's a dead body. Wow.
I do got to clown on Fear Factor or at least the people that go on Fear Factor very quickly, though. I don't know where I saw this, but I stole it from somewhere of basically somebody being like, oh my God, like you're to get to the next level, you have to eat like a cockroach. And they're like, what? I have to eat a cockroach? Like you signed up for Fear Factor. Like,
you were really that shocked.
Yes, on the first, if it was the very first episode, okay, sure, maybe you're not expecting like something that crazy, but like, no, you signed up. Like they're going to try to make you not want to do the thing.
A little bit of a tangent off, but I think that's another thing is that because we are so used to instant communication, instant news, all of that stuff, like some of those old reality programs, similar to what we talked about in the Trash TV episode, go watch that if you haven't, or go listen to that if you haven't already.
Go watch and listen. All
watch
platforms.
And listen, do both. But that kind of like, oh my gosh, suspense, leaving something hanging, what's gonna happen? Like that doesn't really work anymore. Like, of course, with a show, leaving something on like a little bit of a cliffhanger between seasons, that still happens. But the idea of like week to week, and it's like, oh my gosh, what zany things are they going to get up to on Fear Factor? Or like even Chris Angel. Oh my God, does Chris Angel die? It's like, no, he doesn't die.
They're not going to show a video.
I literally
of a
know he's not
going
to die. Or he's not going to get hurt. And then, but back in the day, it's like, oh, is he actually going to fall? Is he going to get hurt? And nowadays it'd be like, no, that's an OSHA violation. Like
it's very funny. Again, this is very, very slightly off from the internet, but we'll get back to it. But it kind of matches of, I used to work on set a lot, and so I made a lot of connections with actors and stuff who went on, and like I'm friends with some guy who does stunts in Hollywood now. And on Facebook, he's like, by the way, I'm gonna be on this reality show or this game show reality show concept. And he was on like episode 2, I think. And so I was like, okay. And so I watched his episode because again, he was able to like post it for free somewhere or whatever. And I watched it, and the concept was really, really, really interesting. Of you put these people in a room with wheelbarrows full of quarters, and they have to count as many quarters as they can, and put them into another thing. And then like every 6 hours, they're expected to do another challenge that makes them think or do something, while they keep the number of like how many quarters and how much money they have counted in their head.
Oh my gosh.
Oh. I would be so bad at that.
And that's the thing is like on paper, that's a really cool concept because you're like, and it doesn't just go on 6 hours.
I can't
it's like,
see that it would be a very interesting thing to watch though.
But that's the thing is like, it's really interesting for one episode.
Yeah.
Because like the first time that you see them, because like they're locked in this room for 24 hours. Like that's also the thing is, every 6 hours, there's a big challenge, and whoever loses that challenge loses. But then also, they'll just randomly ask, like, I think, like, every 12 hours or 9 or some other number of, like, how much money do you think you have counted? Because there's no way for you to keep track either. And whoever is the closest at the time gets a bonus, and whoever's the furthest would also get kicked out. And so, like, it's this thing of a keeping track of, I'm counting literally thousands and thousands of quarters and doing these tasks and yada, 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 and trying not to fall asleep in it, because if I fall behind, then I also lose. Like, it's really cool for one instance. And
Yeah.
for like his episode, like the guy I watched, he was a very high energy guy because again, he was a stunt guy. So he was like a very high energy, like, hey guys, like come on, like trying to make jokes and stuff like this. But he got eliminated like 3/4 of the way through.
Oh,
Haha, quarters. But like
he only got 3/4.
I know,
Dang.
but like he got eliminated because again, he got his count so far off that like he was like $1,000 off or something with the amount of money that he had counted or something like that. But like you said, that's interesting for one time. And when they started it over and it's just basically back to like, all right, 1, 2, 3, like when we talk about having this sense of not that you need to up the stakes, but you have to have it be interesting. And when we are so used to, again, like I've heard the phrase used of like microwave generation of like, we want instant feedback. We want instant like gratification for what we are watching or seeing or ingesting in our lives. And having a very slow burn reality show where like, what if this guy has to be in a room full of snakes? And it's like, okay, yeah, if the snakes bite him, they can't really show that on TV. So
Yeah.
we can't really do that. Oh, and I mean, like, yeah, I guess they made him sign a waiver that he'll have to eat like a snake. But like, yeah, I guess, he ate the snake and he got like 20 grand. Okay. Like, it's kind of counterintuitive to the culture that we live in now of just always constantly going, basically. So sorry, that was a quick swing away from what Lexi was talking about. But
No, you're good. I mean, it makes
just
sense. I think it applies very much to what we're talking about in terms of instant gratification.
True.
I think kind of looping back a bit to when we were talking about being able to have instant access to like everybody all the time instead of having to wait or whatever. It's kind of, for me, it's like a double-edged sword. Because on one hand, it's like, I enjoy the ability of being able to touch base or check in on someone quickly to see how they're doing. Like if I know someone's having a hard time, being able to just message them instead of having to like go somewhere. Wait, why did you just DM me? Oh, sorry. I thought you were sending me something important. I don't know.
No, I just said sup to camp in the middle of him being like, yeah, just the ability to instantly talk to somebody. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll just send sup to camp real quick.
I mean,
Sorry.
true. As an example of it.
I really threw you off. I apologize.
No, you're good. That was really funny. But like I said, for me, it was it's a bit of a double-edged sword in my opinion. Because, one hand, you're able to reach out to people quickly. It's awesome. It's great. But on the other hand, it's like, I've gotten into a bit of a habit that I'm trying to beat myself out of now after having like a decade of being able to message anyone instantly and get a response instantly, where it's like, if I message someone and they don't reply for like a few days even, like it's fine. They don't hate me. It's just like they're taking their time.
Yeah.
Because I used to think that. I'm like, dang, this person has not texted me back after 4 minutes. My life is over. But it's just not. Like, sometimes they're busy, or if they're going through like a mental health thing, maybe they just need like a week away from the internet or something. And like, that's totally fine. And I feel like we got to kind of being, especially with me as well, trying to take more steps back away from social media stuff. Like pretty much all I have is like Blue Sky and Instagram for like typical social media sites. And it's just like, just trying to take a step back a little bit from there. But it is also unlearning that people can go on or off social media. Like, you don't have to, you're not legally required to be there all the time, and you shouldn't be beholden to that concept. So when I message people and I don't get a response immediately and I don't get that quote unquote instant gratification, that's totally okay. They're probably fine. They don't hate me. They didn't die. They just need a bit.
Right, yeah.
Which is,
I struggle with that too, of like, I'm like, okay, if the people that I'm close to that I actually really care about, I'm like, they would tell me if something was up.
Us?
Yeah, true.
Exactly. I would tell you both if I hated you.
True. I'm about to get a DM that says I hate you. But it's very funny that you mentioned that camp, and then I feel like we're probably reaching the natural end of this episode. It's very funny that you mentioned that you're like, yeah, I've got to really walk back from just expecting everybody to respond back so quickly, because I used to be Johnny on the spot with like, anytime anybody ever messaged me, I would be willing to sit there and talk for like hours and hours and text them back and forth. And I burned myself out like probably like 7 years ago now of like, I can't do that with everybody. And so I fully course corrected 100% into like, hey, I will just get to you whenever I feel like I'm in the right headspace, or I'm like there mentally to be able to talk to people again. But I've almost gone too far to where like, I'll realize I haven't responded back to somebody in like 4 or 5 days. And I'm like, oh, well, I wish I would have responded back to them sooner. Like, I really like talking to them. Or like even my family, I'll realize like, oh, dang, like my my uncle or somebody messaged me, like, I should probably respond back to them within a timely manner instead of being like, I'll get to you. Like, it's...
Yeah, I've had to help him with, like, you know, if it's somebody just like completely randomly asking you a question about like, hey, would you eat a hot dog with macaroni on it? Like, you don't need to answer that immediately.
Ah, no, that sounds pretty
But
important.
if somebody is like, hey, how are you doing? Or is the weather okay there? Like, that you should probably message somebody back, you know, as soon as you can on something like that. And so I've tried to help him with like detecting the urgency of like, if you don't have the mental energy to reply, then you shouldn't be replying to the person that's asking you about a random hot dog and not your family member who's like, hey, are you safe from the weather? Like,
yeah.
like
Do you also want a hot dog?
Do you also want a hot dog?
I would bring it to you if it wasn't for the weather.
Yeah. There you go.
No, but that's a good point. It's all about kind of finding a balance that works for you. I think I remember one time, it was literally for this podcast. I think I had to visit my family like kind of suddenly on a day when I would normally do the audio edit. So I think I messaged I think I just messaged the server that we talk in for the podcast. And I was like, hey, I'm super sorry. I'm busy. Do you think you guys could put together like the rough audio edit for me? And then I can like work out the rest of it later or something. I didn't hear anything back in response, but I still had to go visit family. So I was like, okay, worst case, I'll just do it late at night or whatever. And then a few hours later, I get a message from Gurdon being like, hey, I just realized that I'll probably message you. Yeah, we're like halfway done. And I'm like, oh, okay, that works. Thanks for the status update. I'm glad I don't have to do it. You know? But yeah, that's all I got. That funny anecdote.
Speaking of funny anecdotes, Lexi, do you have an anecdote to take us
I
to?
do. Well, no, I was going to say, speaking of people that we find important and we will try to reply to as quickly as we can, is our patrons over on patreon.com for Gurdon, for Camp's Patreon. Thank you so much for your support. You allow us to yap about stuff like this. And as always, we are still taking suggestions for topics. I have a list. I'm writing them down. We have just been going through life stuff, so we haven't really been doing as many suggestions, but we did do one today. So trying to get back on the ball. So leave those comments, leave those suggestions. Thank you so much. We have actually had a record number of downloads for the month of April for the podcast on audio-only format. So thank you to you audio-only listeners. We know that you're out there. We know that you're listening. We thank you so much for that.
You're beautiful.
Yes, and
you're breathtaking.
If you have any comment suggestions, please find us on YouTube or on social media and let us know what your suggestions are, even if you listen mostly through audio formats. So thank you so much, and always remember that when you're on that wild, wild web, stay strapped.
Yes.
Watch out for giant robotic spiders.
So true.
They will get you.
Watch out for Will Smith.
Watch out for Will Smith.
Two equally dangerous forces.
Giant robotic spiders, Will Smith.
Exactly.